Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating legislative push to elevate the dignity, the standard of living, and the compensation of pharmacy teachers in India. Think about it. If you've ever relied on a pharmacist for crucial advice on your medication, well, the quality of their education directly affects you. What we're looking at today is a highly specific, carefully crafted appeal sent straight to the Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare. And it's not just a standard request for a pay bump. No, it's asking for a fundamental shift in how teaching pharmacists are viewed within the entire healthcare ecosystem. If you care at all about the future of healthcare education, you're going to find the mechanics of this argument incredibly compelling. Right off the bat, let's look at this powerful quote that sits at the very heart of today's source document. The author of this appeal is demanding that teaching pharmacists be compensated just like the rest of the medical fraternity. See, when professionals choose to teach, they're actively stepping away from some pretty lucrative private business ventures. And that right there is the anchor for this entire proposal. The idea that choosing to educate the next generation absolutely shouldn't mean taking a massive financial hit compared to your peers out in the field. And this really illustrates the real-world stakes we're dealing with. This is the direct formal letter to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So we aren't talking about some abstract theoretical paper. This is a concrete response to a July 2026 public notice that actually invited comments on draft amendments to the National Pharmacy Commission, or NPC bill. The author kicks things off by showing appreciation for the progressive stuff already in the draft, sure, but then systematically pivots to highlight what's completely missing. Specifically, robust protections and fair compensation for the educators themselves. Upgrading faculty standards. The legal tweaks. To make this happen, they pinpoint Section 10(3)(d) of the draft bill. As it's written now, this section empowers the Commission to provide standards for pharmacy faculty. But the author makes a great point. This clause shouldn't just be about academic qualifications or logging teaching hours. They argue it's actually the most natural, logical place to introduce comprehensive salary and welfare provisions. I mean, if you're setting the quote-unquote standards for a faculty member, shouldn't their standard of living be a huge part of that equation? So, to fix this gap, the author proposes adding these 4 specific items directly into the text of Section 10(3)(d). We're talking about uniform minimum pay scales, uniform service conditions, a career advancement scheme, and vital Social Security and retirement benefits. By explicitly writing these 4 pillars into the law, the author is hoping to lock in quality education, long-term faculty retention, and genuine professional dignity. You can kind of think of these pillars as an ultimate retention strategy against the intense pull of the private sector. It's about creating a reality where a teaching pharmacist doesn't have to stress over basic welfare so they can focus entirely on their students. Now, a really crucial piece of this puzzle is the CAS, or Career Advancement Scheme. Think of CAS as a clear, structured career ladder. It basically ensures that teachers don't just stagnate while their friends in private practice climb the ranks and boost their income. The document points out that many of these educators have years, sometimes decades of experience and contribute massively to both undergraduate and postgraduate programs. A framework like CAS makes sure that all that long, dedicated experience is systematically recognized and rewarded, which also helps them continuously meet the evolving eligibility criteria set by the Commission. Furthermore, the document turns its focus over to Section 19, specifically subsections 1E and F. Right now, this section deals with the Pharmacy Commission determining standards for faculty and facilitating their training, while the author urges expanding this section to explicitly guarantee job security and fair remuneration. It's a pretty clever legal strategy, honestly. They're trying to transform what is just a standard regulatory framework into a comprehensive safety net for educators across all pharmacy institutions. And let's be real, a safety net like this is desperately needed to combat the high turnover rates we often see in academia when job security and fair pay aren't guaranteed. The big ask: non-practicing allowance. Now we get to a very specific request. They want an NPA, or non-practicing allowance, to be formally included for all teaching pharmacists. For some quick context, an NPA is a specialized form of compensation usually granted to specific healthcare professionals. It's literally designed to make up for the lucrative private practice revenue they sacrifice by dedicating their time to public service, or in this case, teaching. And this is where the author makes a really direct, compelling comparison. They draw a straight line between teaching pharmacists and the rest of the medical fraternity, specifically calling out doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. The argument here is that pharmacists have vast private business opportunities of their own. Because they have these identical, lucrative opportunities outside of academia, they absolutely deserve the exact same NPA compensation for giving them up. It's an argument rooted entirely in professional parity.
Aligning with best practices. The ripple effect.
The letter outlines three major outcomes if these amendments are actually adopted. First, it guarantees wider representation, meaning you get meaningful participation from all categories of teaching faculty in recognized institutions. That naturally leads to the second point, greater credibility. You get a balanced, transparent, and objective judgment process across the country. And finally, strict alignment with the best practice models already used by the NPC and NAAC. This kind of inclusive approach promises to bring all recognized colleges onto a common, transparent platform, which would dramatically strengthen overall quality and accountability across pharmacy education. The future of pharmacy. Final conclusions. Ultimately, this isn't just about tweaking a few lines of legal jargon. It's about the downstream impact on the students. It's about setting up future generations of pharmacy graduates for success by ensuring the people teaching them are properly supported, retained, and treated as dignified professionals. This powerful concluding thought from the letter really captures the whole spirit of the document. It reads, "It is a right time to betterment a pharmacy profession at par with other health professionals and dignifies teachers in current scenario." It's an earnest, passionate plea for professional dignity and equality within the broader healthcare sector. The author is basically signaling that the NPC Bill 2026 is a rare, golden window of opportunity to finally fix systemic inequalities that have just lingered for far too long. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we have to step back, look at the bigger picture, and ask ourselves a critical question based on this source. Will standardizing these benefits, including that highly debated non-practicing allowance, truly be the catalyst needed to transform the future of pharmacy education? If the ultimate goal is to attract and retain the brightest minds to teach the next generation, is parity with doctors and dentists the missing piece of the puzzle? It's a genuinely fascinating proposal that places the welfare of the educator right at the dead center of healthcare reform. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the NPC Bill 2026 amendments.